He was set to play Santa. His views on the Middle East got in the way. Ken Dorff had grown out his white beard, but a tense discussion of the Israel-Hamas war at a local synagogue led to complaints that cost him the gig. What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, filming this video on December 24th, 2023. Merry Christmas. It's been a very long, very tumultuous year. Ups and downs. We've had joys. We've had pain. This is my Christmas episode. As you guys saw about 2 weeks ago, I did my Santa dress up and gave out candy to the kids here in Hungary. So y'all go check out those videos for that. But I wanted to cover this story to get in the Christmas mood and also to cover this topic because I find it hilarious. Also, the story relates to a lot of what I've been talking about on my channel of people crashing out and doing dumb stuff just because of this Israel-Hamas, drama that's happening in the Middle East. People shouldn't be losing their jobs and getting canceled and banned over something that they have nothing to do with. If it don't apply, let it fly. But let's get into the story right here. This was written by Andrew K. for the New York Times, published on December 15th, 2023. Real quick, this is a picture of Santa right here. He looks like a jolly old guy. I read this story before, so I think you're going to be surprised about Ken Dorff's history, but he looks like the typical Santa, fat, pudgy, white male with a graying beard, and yeah, looks like a jolly old fellow. Let's get into it. So, in the months since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, disputes over the boundaries of political expression have cost prominent people their jobs in fields like show business, publishing, and academia. Last week, these clashes left another famous figure suddenly out of work, Santa Claus. Nobody's safe from the cancel mob. Nobody's safe from the woke mafia. Taking out Santa. But in this case, Santa was standing up for what he believes in, but you can't do that in pro-Zionist America. Can't do that. So this very 2023 Christmas tale took place in Sag Harbor, a village on Long Island where a longtime resident named Ken Dorff had been hired as a volunteer to wear the iconic red costume at an event hosted by the local Chamber of Commerce. I've heard of Sag Harbor. It's like the Hamptons, but I believe it's like a lower end version of the Hamptons. Even if it's like the lower rent version of the Hamptons, it's still going to be very expensive, ritzy, and that sort of stuff. It's where people from New York have their holiday homes or do summer vacations and that sort of stuff. I read a book a few years ago titled Sag Harbor. I forgot the name of the author, but Sag Harbor used to be the place where like the upper middle class or very well-to-do black New Yorkers used to send their kids for a summer vacation, or they had their holiday homes there. I wonder if that's still the case. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like Sag Harbor got gentrified like Brooklyn. Anyway. The plan was for Santa to ride majestically atop a fire truck to the village's picturesque windmill, where the spreading of joy would commence. Mr. Dorff, 70, had previously played Santa at a gathering last year at the town cinema, and even given an interview in character to a local paper. In other words, he took the Santa stuff very seriously. I normally have a professionally trimmed beard, but I was growing it out. He said, I looked like Santa. Hey, dressing up like Santa brings you a lot of joy. It's fun for the holidays. It's one of the few things fat men can do and feel loved and validated. That's why I enjoyed playing Santa. It was actually pretty cool. So I'm sure Ken Dorff got those same endorphins running through his body, playing Santa in a good way. You know what I mean? It gets you excited. You're bringing joy to people. Everybody loves Santa, right? But I guess not as we read this story. So stay tuned. But on December 6th, 3 days before the Jamboree, Mr. Dorff received an email from the president of the Chamber of Commerce telling him he had been relieved of his duties. They fired Santa Claus. She offered no explanation, he said, beyond saying he was too outspoken for the gig. The truth was, when word got out that he would be Santa this year, a group of people from a local synagogue, Temple Adas, Israel, sent a flurry of emails to the event organizers objecting his selection. That's hilarious because first and foremost, I don't think there were any little Jewish kids this year waiting for Santa Claus to come around. Last time I checked, this holiday is not on their calendar. So why would they care if Santa Claus wasn't coming, or, why would they bother with this holiday? But this is the thing about America, right? The Zionists control America so much. So, and I'm not talking about Zionists as in like Zog and all that other crazy right-wing conspiracy stuff. I'm just talking about the sentiment in America. America's sentiment, American culture is so pro-Israel that even Santa Claus isn't safe, and the mafia, the small hat mafia, will come after him. Let's go here. Mr. Dorff, they said, had made people uncomfortable during a November 30th talk at the synagogue about the Israel-Hamas crisis, sharply criticizing a pair of speakers from the American Jewish Committee, a nonprofit advocacy group that supports Jewish people and Israel, from his seat in the audience. Okay, first and foremost, Mr. Dorff, Santa Claus, whatever. Why would you go to a synagogue to debate the Israel-Hamas conflict and expect there not to be blowback? That's like that's like going to the hood, the barbershop, and trying to debate Black Lives Matter. Like, what are you thinking? Like, you can't do that. Like, that's like, going to an Arab restaurant where they're selling falafel and hummus and all that, telling them, well, maybe the Zionists have a point. What are you thinking, man? You can't go to a synagogue and expect to be pro-Palestinian and not to be upset. So he was very antagonistic, belittling them, said Rona Klopman, 85, a member of the temple who attended the event virtually but was not involved in the email campaign. I could see why people would not be comfortable with him as Santa, who is supposed to be this jolly fellow trying to keep peace in the world. No, he's not trying to keep peace in the world. He's trying to eat free cookies, drink free milk, and give gifts to kids. That's all he's trying to do. He's not trying to keep peace in the world. What are they talking about? Why are the Zionists, why are the small hats telling us how to run Santa, how Santa should be? This is insane. So this is the funny part. I love this paragraph right here. Fluent in Arabic, Mr. Dorff fostered an interest in the Middle East over more than 4 decades, working frequently in the region as a consultant in the financial sector. Beyond his day job, he regularly gives talks as an expert on the subject, believing Arab cultures in the Middle East are gravely understood. Very interesting stuff, because I'm just going to keep it real. Looking at him, he looks like, he maybe was a lumberjack, a fisherman, some guy who owns a boat dock in Sag Harbor, something like that. He doesn't look like some guy who spent months or years of his life hanging out in the streets of Morocco or in the coffee shops of Cairo. So it's very interesting. Once again, this is why you can't judge a book by its cover. And also to know he's fluent in Arabic, I'm jealous because, as you guys know, I love the Arabic language. So to see that this random guy spent years of his life studying Arabic, living in the Arab lands, that's very cool. That's very cool to me. You can't judge books by their cover, man. Very interesting. So, gonna jump here. I love Israel and I love Palestine, and I do not think those are contradictory thoughts and emotions, he said in October at a local speaking engagement. Mr. Dorff attended the talk at the synagogue titled Answering Tough Questions on Israel as a guest of a member. Interesting. Very interesting. So, he's trying to really bring peace in the world. I mean, he is somebody who probably sees the conflict from the side more of the Palestinians, but he can still justify maybe Israel's existence. We don't know. That comment, I love Israel, is, how I interpret that. But I'll say this, people can have nuanced views or not fit into the box or pick a side in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. People should be able to, give their own opinions and takes that maybe don't fit into the box or the narrative of one side or the other, which is what I do. And I think he was doing the same, but possibly speaking out against the, horrific crimes against humanity that the Zionist government of Israel is doing. So that's probably where he was coming from with it. And that's okay. But unfortunately, any criticism of Israel is not accepted in American political discourse. Going to continue. A video of the event viewed by the New York Times confirmed that Mr. Dorff, on multiple occasions, voiced frustration with the content of the AGC's hour-long presentation. The atmosphere remained mostly civil, but the room at times grew tense. Mr. Dorff, who emphasized that he was heartbroken by the war and desperately wanted it to end, objected during the events to the speaker's characterizations of several topics: the exact language of the Hamas charter, the relevance of the West Bank settlements to the current conflict. When called on during a question and answer section, he implied they were feeding the audience political talking points. Okay, so he's up there fighting against all the right-wing propaganda, all the pro-Zionist propaganda, giving his take, saying that maybe the Hamas attack on October 7th had some justification or came from someplace, whatever. That, it's not happening in a vacuum, trying to put some nuance, some spin on it, giving his honest take, and that's not going to be accepted in the synagogue. Santa, what are you doing? Number one, Santa, you're off duty. You should be preparing to drop off all these gifts in the Congo, in Mississippi, in Canada, all the places where you have tons of Christian children. And here's Santa Claus up here in the synagogue debating with the debating with the Zionists. What sense does this make? This is America. This is America. All right. Honestly, you two could have been propaganda for the Netanyahu government, he said, referring to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli leader. I am appalled. But who is he talking to here? I wonder who that comment was directed as. Certain audience members were visibly taken aback by Mr. Dorf's comments. Imagine Santa Claus up there with his big beard talking about from the river to the sea. Ho, ho, ho. From the river to the sea. Anyway, certain audience members were visibly taken aback by Mr. Dorf's comments. The guest speakers engaged politely but sternly with Mr. Dorf each time he spoke up, and the session ended without other issues. Mr. Dorf acknowledged later that he should have left. Given the title of the talk, he said he had expected a forum for debate. Instead, he said, it felt more like a workshop designed to equip pro-Israel attendees with responses to touchy questions about the conflict. I never said a curse word or stood up or threatened anyone, but it was hot under the collar, and I regret that, Mr. Dorf said. But the damage was done. Ellen Diogardi, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, said in a statement that she had received, I can't believe this, 11 emails. 11 emails. Her inbox was flooded with 11 emails requesting they find a different Santa. Some parents said they would not come to the Christmas event if Mr. Dorf were there. It was by far the most complaints the organization had ever received about any issues, she said. Well, they must not have a lot of issues in Sag Harbor. Maybe I should take my black ass to Sag Harbor. The only issue that causes the Chamber of Commerce to be in a kerfuffle and have a flurry of emails, all 11 of them, is about the pro-Palestinian Santa. What a community. 11 emails got this man fired. Do they not know that one person can sit at one computer literally from different accounts and send out 11 emails? Do they not know that, 11 is a small minority of people? Well, what is this? In America, we have this tyranny of the minority, and people want to talk about cancel culture and the woke mob and all this sort of stuff, but it happens on both sides. On both sides, people get riled up and inflamed and incensed, about something, or entrenched deep on one side, and then they start attacking the other, and saying that they need to be removed or deplatformed. Trust me, I know. It's happening on my channel all the time. But I follow the rules. I don't I don't give pro-Palestinian talking points. I don't give pro-Israeli talking points. I just stay on my side and give my take, and I keep it real, and I deal with the blowback. But Santa, man, you got to take your ass back to the North Pole. Tell Mrs. Claus we're only going to focus on dropping off gifts for the good Muslim kids this year because the Zionists have rejected you. I guess the Jews don't want Christmas this year because they were so waiting for it. What is that? What is happening? Anyway, we were able to find an anonymous Santa Claus free of distraction and had a great event focused on the simple joy and wonder that is the holiday season, her statement read. The December 9th gathering otherwise proceeded as planned, even though the alternate Santa had unfortunately shaved his beard, thinking his services were not needed this year. Mr. Dorf stayed home and made a gingerbread house, but restlessness in the community has lingered. If we're going to have a democracy, even if it's angry exchanges, we need to be able to have these conversations without being punished, Mr. Dorf said. Rabbi Daniel Geffen of Temple Adas, Israel, said the temple's leadership had not been involved in the email campaign. He rued the turn of events, but conceding he was not an expert on Santa, offered a slightly different lesson. Acknowledging that free speech was indeed part of the beauty of democracy, he suggested it also required taking responsibility for not just what we say, but how we say it and when we say it. Okay, so yeah, people can take responsibility for, the consequences of their speech. Like, you shouldn't be able to say anything and people can't respond to you, or people can't, reply back in a public forum. Not on my platform. Not everybody's allowed to speak here. Yeah, I said it. This is totalitarianism on Simon Hill Keeps It Trail. But yeah, if you say something, people have the right to respond. If you speak in a public place, like the synagogue doing a forum on the Israel-Hamas conflict. But does Santa really need to be replaced just because 11 people sent emails? in big ass Sag Harbor. I'm sure there are like thousands of kids who did not care, who do not care at all about Santa Claus's foreign policy perspective. Right? But yet and still, we're going to deny Santa Claus the full fat Santa with the big beard. Instead, we're going to give him some meth head who was shaved off, strung out, and did it for $50. And letting your kid sit on his lap? Nah, come on, man. Let Ken Dorff be Santa. Let Ken Dorff be Santa. Anyway, going to jump here. Mr. Dorff, who is atheist, has no ill feelings towards the Chamber of Commerce or the rabbi. Who knew that, Santa Claus was an atheist? Who knew that? I don't know. The episode, while disheartening, has inspired him to keep educating people about Arab cultures, perhaps through a website or podcast. He said he was proud to stand out in his close-knit community, among other things, as a gay white father of two black adopted children. See, this man just lives his own life. See, when I hear about stories of people like Ken Dorff who just have their own way of doing things and just, tick all the boxes that are outside of the main one, I rock with him. You know what I mean? Some people might be upset that he's a gay white man who has two black kids that he adopted. I'm cool with gay adoption. It's better for kids to have a parent that loves them than to be in the orphanage system or to be out there on the street. So it's better for society if we don't stigmatize gay people adopting kids of any color or any background and that sort of stuff. I do believe that if you're a gay white man raising two black kids in America, you should do some extra steps to make sure that these kids are tied to their culture, that they understand white supremacy and anti-black racism so that they're prepared to be out there in the world. But other than that, as long as you love your kids, take care of them. And hey, who wouldn't want Santa Claus to be your dad? Anyway, especially if your dad is Santa Claus, he speaks Arabic, and he's out here going to war with the Zionists in the synagogue. That's a bad motherfucker. And that he would, all right, I'm going to continue here. So, he would keep sharing his views on anything with anyone, said Mr. Dorff. So, and despite feeling down, he appreciates the absurdity of the situation too. This was not the first time he pointed out that Saint Nick had lost his job. In Miracle on 34th Street, Santa was canceled because he was drunk, he said, referring to the classic holiday film. But Mr. Dorff was not on Santa duty that night at the synagogue. I was canceled because I said something in a completely independent setting. So here's a correction from the article. An earlier version of the article mischaracterized a statement from the Sag Harbor Chamber of Commerce. The chamber said it had received 11 emails, but it did not say how many were from synagogue members. Okay, all right. Well, we'll leave that there. Anyway, once again, too many people have lost their jobs and lost their careers, lost opportunities, got kicked out of law school, got kicked out of medical school, gotten beat up in the streets, been embarrassed on social media for picking one side or the other of the Palestinian conflict. Listen, I'm going to make this clear. We don't want Christmas to be canceled. We don't want Santa Claus to disappear. We don't want to lose our careers, lose our opportunities to go to law school and medical school or just to be out in the world over a stupid conflict with people who cannot get it together and who insist on annihilating each other in faraway lands. Let them have it. Let them have it. If you really have a opinion about it, keep that to yourself. You know what I mean? This is my advice for all the black Americans or black people in general about this. Like, let's stay out of this. Let's not be like Santa getting canceled over this. You get what I'm saying? So that's all I have to say about the story. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We're going to keep on building and grinding this year on this channel. My name's Simon Hill. Peace.